Beyond the Mic with Sean Dillon.
We're joined on the Starline by a comedian whose manly strength was displayed by destroying Drywall in Kyle, Texas with one punch. His upcoming comedy album, Kyle Gordon Is Great. We welcome the culmination of his mother and father, Kyle Gordon.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for acknowledging my drywall punching abilities. That was fun.
Kyle, let's go beyond the mic. You've been doing comedy since 2014 and headed back on tour. What makes musical comedy fun for you?
I think for me, the big thing I love to do and what I do on this album is, parodies of specific genres and, identifying the tropes of genres and what makes a particular genre specific or weird or, the particular things that, only exist in one type of genre. And so identifying those and sort of heightening them and taking them to a cartoonish level. That's just the stuff I just love doing and I find so fun.
Now, while some people have left radio for streaming and other options, this album is a tribute in your own warped way to radio. Why?
Yeah, I think so. It was fun. So each song on the album is a parody of a different genre. And so I kind of created this device. Each song is between each song, there's sort of a radio station interlude. So for listeners, if you're listening to the album, it kind of feels like you're in a car flipping between stations and each station is a different genre. And so that was kind of a device that I created to sort of prevent some of the whiplash for the listeners, because each song is going to sound completely different. So you go from a country song to a pop punk song to an Irish song. So flipping between the stations kind of helps prevent maybe some of the whiplash. But also, just as someone who grew up, so much of my musical taste was shaped by listening to radio and specifically classic rock radio growing up, that it was just really, really fun for me. And I did radio in college as well, kind of being able to play with some of the tropes of radio and the stuff that I love and grew up listening to. That was just fun for me in and of itself.
Which comedians have inspired you growing up?
Yeah, the two big ones on my comedy Mount Rushmore. One I would say is Chris Farley. He's like a hero of mine. I think he might be the most naturally funny person that ever existed. But also more on the musical comedy side, I really love Christopher Guest, who listeners probably know best from Spinal Tap. There's another movie that I love of his called A Mighty Wind that is like a parody of folk music artists. And so his musical genre parodies are so specific and so smart and so hilarious that when I saw him, I was just in awe. And it also kind of gave me permission to do what I do on this album which is, parodying all these different genres. So I would like to think in my best moments, I hope that I'm sort of a combination of Christopher Guest and Chris Farley.
You're honoring them.
Oh, absolutely. I hope.
Kyle Gordon Is Great is the album, and Kyle Gordon joins us beyond the mic for the Rockin' 8. All this is 8 random questions, Kyle. Answer with the first thing that comes to your mind. There is no pressure.
We shall see.
Best place in New York not to get mugged.
Best place in New York not to get mugged. Ooh, that's a good question. Probably... Well, I live in Park Slope, Brooklyn. I moved there with my girlfriend. It's right next to Prospect Park. And, I turned 30, got 2 dogs, moved in with the girlfriend. It's very domestic. It's lots of families around. So I have yet to get mugged in my neighborhood. So I would say I'm on a pretty good streak there.
I know you got your phone and you put your comedy notes in there. How many more ideas are on your phone untapped and ready to go?
Thousands. The question is, which of them are actually good? That's the real challenge, is sorting through all these thousands of ideas that I write down throughout the day on my phone and finding out which ones are actually worth pursuing. So hopefully for the next album, I've got a backlog of ideas that I want to pursue. It'll just be a question of which ones I really dig into.
Are you a Mets or Yankees fan?
Mets, unfortunately.
I'll give you a choice. You can either pick your favorite Powder Puff Girl or your favorite classic rock band.
Ooh, I might have to go with both. So I'd say my favorite Powerpuff Girl has got to be Buttercup. She's got the sass. She's got the anger, although I'm probably more of a Bubbles. But my favorite classic rock band, I don't know maybe now they would fall under classic rock. My favorite band of all time is the Ramones. And so number one, best band ever. So I have to go with the Ramones.
If you could open a show for any comedian or musician, who would be your dream closer?
Well, I did have the opportunity to, and he does shows in New York, and he's, still doing tons of shows and touring. David Cross is also someone I grew up loving. People would probably know him best. He played Tobias on the show Arrested Development, but his stand-up was also very, very influential and informative for me. So I did actually have the opportunity to do a show with him in New York a few months back. And it's one of the, luckily now I've had the opportunity to meet, a lot of crazy famous people over the past few years. That was maybe the one time where I genuinely couldn't speak. He just is like a hero to me. So yeah, David Cross is up there.
How about your favorite Broadway show?
Ooh, favorite Broadway show. My girlfriend she's such a big musical fan. I am not a huge fan of musicals, but my favorite one has got to be Book of Mormon because I'm just a huge South Park guy.
What is the weirdest video request you ever got in Cameo?
Oh my God. I mean, it's got to be the feet ones. It's got to be the weird feet ones. You can't stop them, but yeah, I've gotten a few of those there.
Ew.
Power to them.
Who spends more time getting their hair ready for a wedding, you or Canning?
Ooh, it's probably her. I have this, I have this, people probably see like I've got this weird flippy thing with my hair in the front. This is all natural, baby. I just step out of the shower and it just sits like this. I look like I've kind of got like a 50s pompadour thing going on. And that's just how my hair has always sat. So I'm blessed.
Let's sneak in one more. Kyle, what makes you smile?
What makes me smile? Being able to create and make cool stuff, just having the creative freedom like I did on this album. Like I've said before, even if no one ever listened to this album, and luckily a lot of people have already been enjoying a lot of the songs that have come out, it still would have been so much fun and so worth it to me to just be able to kind of put my crazy ideas out into the world. So just the ability to create and make the stuff I want to make it doesn't get any better than that for me. So that makes me smile.
It's time for One Big Question with Kyle Gordon. His album, Kyle Gordon Is Great. How did the pandemic change the way you see comedy?
Well, the biggest thing for me is it gave me permission to really just put out all my ideas into the world, because I think me and a lot of comedians who do a lot of stuff online, all you need is a phone and a good idea. And, people will kind of latch on and discover what you have to do. So it's kind of given me a lot more confidence and permission to just try ideas out and put them out into the world and see what sticks.
He's a long-suffering New York Mets fan who also loves the Ramones. His album is Kyle Gordon Is Great. Kyle Gordon, thanks for taking the time to talk with us today.
Thank you so much.
And that, my friends, is a Beyond the Mic Shortcut.